Kenny here with Gardening Simplified. I hope everybody out there is doing fine. It's January 3rd, and it's time to think about planting seeds. Now, a couple of days ago, I did a video on replacing my crops that died and planting seeds, and in 2 days, some things like bok choy, they just bounce up out of the ground. But no, it's time to think about planting seeds. Now, here in Zone 8B, we take and plant kind of early or last frost date, and you need to look at that. You can Google it, and you can go to Farmer's Almanac or somewhere, and talk and put in your zip code and see when your average last frost date is. And I stress on that average because it's not set in stone. Sometimes it comes much later and sometimes it comes much earlier. And down here in East Texas, a lot of people like to plant on April 15th. I don't know, maybe because they got their taxes sent in or something. But no, it's they say Good Friday is about planting time. Now, we plant our potatoes earlier, but we're not going to talk about our root crops that we plant, like potatoes. We're going to talk about things like tomatoes and peppers and stuff like that. Now, you wonder, why would we be talking about that now? You have to get your seed for these different crops. And I'm sure somewhere here buried on my table, maybe, we'll just have to see. I don't. Oh, there's the bag. These seeds, they came from Walmart and Lowe's, and there were certain varieties. It's just easier for me to buy the seeds, and some of these, the seeds are quite expensive when you buy them. Like this is Celebrity Tomato, or this is Celebration. This is Rutgers tomatoes, and in here there are very few seeds. I can fill them, but there's very few seeds, and if you're going to plant very many tomatoes, you either have to buy more packages, which I did that too, bought a couple of packages, or you need to plant them early enough, and you can put them into pots, and then whenever they start sending out suckers, you can root those suckers and go from there. But and these seed displays are they're being put out now. Christmas is over, New Year's is over. I'm sure they're putting Valentine's stuff, but they don't put that in the big box stores like they do the seeds. But whenever you plant this seed, you know, it's not going to germinate and come up, and you're not going to plant this in your garden. You're going to want to plant this in a cell tray, just like we do all these other seeds. Now, I like to plant these tomatoes and stuff all in one cell, and then separate them as they come up. That way I don't waste a bunch of cells, and I can they'll get just a little leggy when they come up, and I'll plant them deep and get them a better start. Just pot them up. But these take about 8 weeks from the time you start planting them till the time it's ready to put them out. Now, sometimes you can do certain things, you know, feed them a lot of fish mulch and things like that. Of course, you don't want to do that in the house because it really gets smelly. But you can feed them a lot of nitrogen, get them up bigger, quicker, and get them established. But you need to get your seeds ahead of time. A lot of these people will be in there like me, and they'll come buy their seeds early, and then you're not going to find the varieties that you want. Now, if you're going to order them, you need to order them. Now, I've looked at some of the seeds online and certain things that I might want, like certain lettuce varieties. They're sold out because either there weren't that many seeds from the year before, or people just bought them up already and getting prepared because they knew last year things sold out quick. So, I guess what I'm getting at is you need to start preparing. Uh, you need to figure now. My last average frost date is the 23rd of March. Now I always say the 28th is what sticks in my head, but it's the 23rd, and I try to put out my plants as close to that time, or maybe even earlier than that time, because I'll put some roll covers, and if we have a really bad freeze, then we might end up with a situation. And last year, the weather looked pretty bad, so my plants got real leggy because I planted them early. But as far as growing, and I had some videos on some of these that were real leggy that I planted uh, later, and they really did good as far as production, just because they're leggy. Don't let people try to tell you you're going to have to start over. But if you're wanting crops early, you've got to plant your seeds early, and you have to be able to pot them up if you have to. You don't want them to get root bound in their container. Uh, and if you give them good nutrients, usually they don't have to search quite so hard. So maybe you can avoid that a little bit. But like in my situation, if I'm going to figure 8 weeks back, then I'm going to be somewhere around the 26th of January for 8 weeks. Now, some of these plants, like your peppers, will take a good 10 weeks. And the same thing with onions. Now, I have onions, and we've seen that they got a pretty good hit. Now, it looks like most of them will be coming back. But if I'm going to ensure that I'm going to have a crop, I have some more onions that I just planted yesterday. And we'll get these to going up, and they've got enough time because in East Texas here, a lot of times we plant our onions in the spring. We can either plant them in the fall and let them grow all winter long, or we can plant them in the spring. So if you are in the South and you're used to doing that, then you might want to consider going ahead and planting your seed, get your onion starts to going, or you can pay that high price for just a few onion plants and plant them. It's so easy to grow them from seed. When I put these out, and you can look back at some onion videos, they're really small, but they really take off because they haven't been the roots all cut off and the tops cut off and then bundled up and set to allow them to try to go dormant or dry out some. They're green, they're growing, and when I move them into the ground, they 1 or 2 days they're standing up tall and they're really taking off. If you give them a lot of nitrogen, and fish emulsion is really a good source for your onions. Peppers take 10 weeks, 8 to 10 weeks, and so you need to consider that. And if you're way up north, you've got some time. But I suggest going ahead and getting your seeds. Now, I buy most of my seeds the year before. I do go in big box stores, and I go looking for some of these other seeds of some tomatoes or maybe odd pepper that I might want. But other than that, uh, I buy all my seeds the year before. And what that ensures is that I have the varieties that I want, and I can start them whenever I want to start them. But anyway, that's kind of the gist of it. We won't go rambling on anymore. But if you're planning to plant a garden, you need to start doing certain things. The most important thing is having your seeds available. And if you're going to plant these plants, and especially if you have a short season, you'll want to do this to where you can do them inside to get them started, so you've got a bigger plant ready to go out, and it's easy enough to pot up and get these bigger pots. But anyway, I hope this little tip gets you in gear so you don't procrastinate and wait too long, and then you'll end up having to go see if you can get some varieties that you didn't particularly care for from the big box stores. But anyway, if you want to see more of these videos, just hit subscribe, hit the bell so you'll be notified. And of course, enjoy that gardening experience.